The slip space rupture tore reality apart with the elegance of a controlled demolition and the violence of a supernova. One moment, the UNSC Infinity was executing a standard jump near Installation 07's debris field, tracking Forerunner energy signatures that roll, and had flagged as potentially related to Cortana's created faction. The next, every sensor on the supercarrier's bridge screamed warnings as the fabric of Shah Fujikawa's space-time collapsed inward, replaced by something fundamentally wrong, a different kind of void, operating under alien mathematics that made the ship's navigation AI pause for a full 3 seconds. In shipboard terms, that was an eternity. Captain Thomas Lasky gripped his command chair as the 5-kilometer warship shuddered, its Forerunner-enhanced engines fighting forces they weren't designed to encounter. "Roland, report." "Still working on that, Captain." The AI's avatar flickered across the holotank, his usual casual demeanor replaced by focused intensity. "Slip space drive is intact but unresponsive. We're not in slip space anymore. We're not in normal space either. We're transitioning. Stellar cartography doesn't match any known navigation data. No Forerunner markers. No UNSC beacons. No, wait." The avatar froze. "Sir, I'm detecting a G-type main sequence star. Single system. 9 planets, multiple moons. Third planet shows oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, liquid water, and—" Roland's voice carried unmistakable confusion. "Captain, I'm picking up radio transmissions. Late 20th, early 21st century Earth frequencies. English, Russian, Chinese, Arabic. But we're nowhere near Sol system. The stellar drift is wrong by millions of light years." Lasky felt his tactical mind shift into crisis mode, the same cold clarity that had kept him alive through the Covenant War and the created uprising. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Launch reconnaissance pelicans. Get me firing solutions on anything that moves. And someone find me Master Chief. On Deck 17, in the Spartan deployment bay, John 117 was already armored and checking his MA-40 assault rifle when the klaxon sounded. The MJOLNIR Gen 3 armor shields hummed to life, HUD display painting his visor with tactical overlays and threat assessments that currently read unknown across every parameter. Blue team was scattered. Linda on a classified O&I operation, Kelly recovering from injuries sustained against Spanish forces, Fred coordinating training rotations. That left Chief alone with Fireteam Majestic and a handful of Spartan Iversus who looked at him the way young Marines looked at ghosts. "Spartan 117, bridge requires your presence." Roland's voice echoed through his helmet comm. "We've got a situation that's officially above my pay grade, and I'm an AI." Chief Mag locked his rifle and moved, his 7-foot armored frame navigating Infinity's corridors with the efficiency of someone who'd spent more time in MJOLNIR than out of it. Crew members pressed against bulkheads as he passed, their faces showing the particular tension of military personnel who knew something was deeply wrong but hadn't been told what yet. He'd seen that look on Installation 04, on High Charity, on Requiem. It never meant anything good. The bridge's main viewport showed stars, but not the stars they'd left. Different constellations, unfamiliar drift patterns, and in the distance, a yellow sun that Roland insisted was impossible. "Chief." Lasky turned from the holotank, his expression controlled but concerned. "We've got first contact protocols activating. Multiple radar returns inbound, but they're not Covenant, Forerunner, or anything in our database. They're human." "Human?" Chief's voice carried its characteristic flat calm, the tone that had talked down panicking Marines and negotiated with arbiters. "Watch." Roland replayed sensor data. 3 vessels appeared on approach vectors, sleek fighters that looked like atmospheric craft modified for space, their design philosophy more NASA than UNSC, more experimental than mass-produced. F-302s, according to their IFF transponders. Launched from a larger vessel designated Daedalus, BC-304 class. Also human design, but the technology is all wrong. Their engines aren't fusion torches or plasma drives. There's some kind of crystalline energy matrix running on principles that make my quantum processors ache. The calm crackled with interference, then cleared. Unidentified vessel, this is Colonel Stephen Caldwell of the Earth's ship Daedalus. You are approaching restricted Sol system space without authorization codes. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded for security screening. Respond immediately. Lasky glanced at Chief, then back to the viewport. Earth ship. He said Earth ship. Roland? Confirmed, Captain. Linguistic analysis matches contemporary Earth English. But we're not in our universe anymore. The AI's avatar gestured at stellar cartography. The physics work differently here. I can't engage subspace. The Shaw-Fujikawa equations don't resolve. It's like trying to divide by zero. Whatever pulled us through, it dumped us somewhere. The fundamental constants of reality are just different enough to break our FTL. Chief processed this with Spartan efficiency. Different universe meant no UNSC, no Covenant, no created. It also meant no way home until they understood local physics. But it also meant humans who developed spacefaring civilization and were defending a planet called Earth. Priority 1. Establish communication. Priority 2. Assess threat level. Priority 3. Find allies or neutralize enemies. Open a channel, Lasky ordered. Colonel Caldwell, this is Captain Thomas Lasky, UNSC Infinity. We are not hostile. Repeat, we are not hostile. Repeat, we are not hostile. We experienced a catastrophic slip space malfunction and emerged in your space without intention. We're prepared to discuss terms for peaceful contact, but be advised, Infinity is a warship with 17,000 personnel aboard. We will defend ourselves if threatened, but we're hoping that won't be necessary. Silence stretched across the void. Chief watched the tactical display as more vessels appeared on sensors. Another capital ship, larger, designated Prometheus. Orbital defense platforms activating around the third planet. This Earth, whatever else it was, had teeth. When Caldwell responded, his voice carried military skepticism layered over cautious professionalism. Captain Lasky, your vessel is the largest ship we've ever encountered, and our sensors indicate weapons systems that could sterilize a planet. You'll understand if we're not taking your peaceful intentions on faith. I'm transmitting coordinates for a holding orbit. Match our position, submit to scans, and we'll arrange transport for a delegation to meet with our command authority. Move off those coordinates, and we will engage. Daedalus out. Lasky looked at Chief. Thoughts? We're outgunned strategically, Chief said, nodding toward the sensor display showing orbital defense grids and multiple capital ships converging. Not tactically, Infinity could probably take their fleet. But we're in unknown territory with no supply lines and no way home. Fighting makes us enemies. Talking makes us potentially allies. He paused. And if they're human, they deserve a chance to decide which. Agreed. Lasky turned to navigation. Match their coordinates. Helm, station keeping only. Weapons hold fire but maintain ready status. He activated ship-wide comm. All hands, this is the captain. We've made contact with local human forces. We're following first contact protocols. Stay sharp, stay ready, but nobody fires unless I give the order. We didn't survive the Covenant War by shooting first and asking questions later. Lasky out. As Infinity's massive bulk maneuvered into position, Chief watched the planet rotating below, oceans, continents, city lights on the night side. Earth, but not his Earth. Somewhere down there, humans who never fought grunts or elites, never saw the glassing of Reach, never lost billions to the Covenant. But they had weapons, ships, and the organized discipline of people who'd fought someone. Captain, Roland interrupted. I'm detecting something else. Energy signature unlike anything in our database, emanating from inside Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado. It's generating localized space-time distortions on a quantum level. Very controlled. Very precise. And very, very old. The technology predates anything I've seen, even Forerunner. It's almost like The AI trailed off. Like someone else built a different kind of slip space drive, but used it as a doorway instead of a ship engine. Chief's HUD tagged the location. Cheyenne Mountain. Military installation. Heavily fortified. And apparently housing technology that could bend space. This was going to be complicated. The comm activated again. Captain Lasky, we're dispatching a delegation via Asgard transporter to your vessel. Prepare to receive General Hank Landry, SG-1 Team Leader Colonel Cameron Mitchell, and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Carolyn Lamb. They'll be aboard in 30 seconds. Please have your weapons secured and a conference room prepared. Asgard transporter? Lasky repeated. Roland's avatar shrugged. Apparently they have friends. Interesting friends. Chief checked his rifle one final time, then mag-locked it to his back. If these humans had allies advanced enough to build matter transporters, and old enough to build whatever was generating those spatial distortions in Cheyenne Mountain, then the UNSC had just stumbled into a galaxy far more complicated than first contact protocols anticipated. White light materialized in Infinity's hangar bay, not the blue shimmer of UNSC teleportation grids, but a columnar beam that deposited 3 humans and dematerialized without residue. Chief was already moving, Lasky beside him, as they approached the delegation. The older man in Air Force Blues carried himself with command authority. Beside him, a younger officer in BDUs had the loose ready stance of someone who'd seen combat and expected more. The woman in medical insignia assessed Infinity's interior with clinical precision. General Landry extended his hand to Lasky, old-school military courtesy. Captain? Welcome to our galaxy. I'm told you've had a hell of a day. Why don't we discuss it somewhere more comfortable? And then maybe you can explain how a ship the size of a small city just appeared in our solar system without tripping every early warning system we've got until you were already here. Chief noticed Mitchell's eyes tracking to him, widening slightly at the MJOLNIR armor's height and bulk. But the colonel didn't reach for his sidearm, just nodded, professional recognition between soldiers. General, I think we're all going to have questions, Lasky said. But first I need to know, is this Earth under threat? Because if we've jumped into the middle of someone's war, my crew needs to know what we're walking into. Landry's expression turned grim. Colonel Mitchell, why don't you give our guests the short version of where they've landed? Mitchell stepped forward, and Chief heard the weariness of someone who delivered this briefing too many times. Captain, Master Chief, yeah, we know who you are. Your IFF broadcast included personnel files. Welcome to a galaxy where ancient alien races seeded human life across thousands of planets, where parasitic snake aliens pretending to be gods enslaved most of them for millennia, and where Earth has been defending itself for the last 9 years using a portal that allows instantaneous travel to any of those planets. We call it the Stargate. He paused. And right now, we're in the middle of trying not to get wiped out by a race of ascended energy beings who literally gain power from worship and really want everyone to join their religion or die. Chief and Lasky exchanged glances. Yeah. Mitchell continued. It's a lot. But here's the good news. You're not the strangest thing we've dealt with this year. So why don't we head down to Cheyenne Mountain, show you the Stargate, and figure out if we can help each other? Because, Captain, if your ship is even half as capable as our sensors suggest, we could use friends right about now. Chief looked at the planet below, at the general who'd made first contact with open hands instead of weapons, at the promise of a portal that could take them anywhere in this galaxy instantly. Spartans adapted. It's what they were built for. Lead the way, Colonel, Chief said. We'll follow. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Indeed. The Asgard transporter beam deposited Chief, Lasky, and Commander Palmer in the SGC gate room with the same effortless precision that had brought Landry's delegation to Infinity. Chief's motion tracker immediately cataloged the space, circular room, heavy blast doors sealed behind concrete and titanium, observation windows showing control room personnel tracking their arrival. and dominating the room's far wall, the Stargate itself. 7 meters of Naquata-infused metal, carved with symbols Chief's linguistics database couldn't identify, mounted on a ramp with mechanisms designed for rotation. The inner ring sat dormant, but energy readings from his HUD suggested massive power reserves waiting beneath the installation. This was the technology Roland had detected, a wormhole generator that punched holes through space-time without requiring slip-space mathematics. Impressive, isn't it? General Landry descended the control room stairs, Mitchell and Dr. Lamb flanking him. We've sent teams through that ring to over 200 planets in the last 9 years. Sometimes we make allies. Sometimes we make enemies. Sometimes we find technology that saves us. Sometimes we find technology that almost destroys us. He stopped before the gate, gazing up at it with the familiarity of long acquaintance. But it's given humanity a fighting chance in a galaxy that didn't know we existed. Palmer crossed her arms, her Spartan 4 armor servos whirring quietly. How does it work? Our scans showed spatial distortion, but nothing like slip-space ruptures. Different principle entirely. A new voice called from the doorway. A blonde woman in Air Force blues entered, carrying a tablet and the confident stride of someone used to explaining impossible physics. Lieutenant Colonel Samantha Carter, Astrophysics and Gate Operations. Your ship's technology is fascinating, by the way. Our sensors picked up Forerunner energy signatures that matched some ancient designs we've encountered. She gestured at the gate. The Stargate creates a stable wormhole between 2 points by locking onto spatial coordinates represented by constellations. 7 symbols for local addresses, 8 for intergalactic. One-way matter transmission, 38-minute window, powered by either a control crystal interface we call a DHD or sufficient Naquata reactors. Chief processed this. Ancients? The first evolution, Carter explained. They built the gate network millions of years ago, then ascended to a higher plane of existence. We've inherited their technology, and some of their problems. She looked at Lasky. Captain, I've been reviewing the data your AI transmitted. Your slip-space drive operates on 11-dimensional superpositional physics. Elegant. Unfortunately, those dimensions don't exist in our universe the same way. You're not getting home through slip-space. Lasky's jaw tightened. Are you saying we're stranded? I'm saying you'll need a different approach, Carter said. The ancients had intergalactic hyperspace drives. The Asgard perfected them. If anyone can retrofit Infinity with technology to navigate our reality's FTL, it's a collaboration between your engineers and ours. She smiled slightly. Dr. McKay on Atlantis would be insufferable if he heard about this challenge and wasn't involved. Atlantis? Palmer asked. Long story, Mitchell interjected. Lost city of the ancients, currently operating as an expeditionary base in another galaxy. We'll get to that. He nodded toward the gate. General, permission to show our guests what this thing actually does. Landry checked his watch. SG-7 is due back from P3X421 in 15 minutes. They can wait. He turned to the control room. Walter, dial P9C372. Let's give the UNSC a demonstration. Through the observation window, Chief watched a technician, Walter, presumably. Input coordinates on a console. The gate responded immediately. The inner ring began rotating, ancient mechanisms engaging with sounds that spoke of technology built to last millennia. Each symbol locked into place with a metallic clang that Chief's audio sensors registered as precise, mechanical perfection. Chevron 1 encoded. Walter's voice echoed through speakers. The sequence continued, 7 symbols locking in succession. On the final chevron, the gate's center exploded outward in an unstable vortex of energy. The kawoosh, Carter called it. That vaporized the air in front of it before settling into a shimmering vertical pool of liquid-like energy. Chief's threat assessment system screamed warnings about the energy levels, the spatial distortion, the sheer impossibility of what he was witnessing. This was a doorway. Not a ship, not a vehicle. A doorway to another world, thousands of light years away, stabilized by technology that made Forerunner artifacts look crude. P9C372, Mitchell said casually. Nice planet, pre-industrial civilization, good trade relations. About 6,000 light years from here. Step through that puddle, you're there instantly. He grinned at Chief's expressionless faceplate. Yeah, we had the same reaction first time. The wormhole held for 30 seconds, then collapsed with a sound like distant thunder. The gate powered down, returning to dormant metal. That's how we fight a galaxy-wide war with limited ships, Landry said. We can't match the Goa'uld ship-to-ship. But we can dial anywhere, send teams through, accomplish objectives, and extract before they know we're there. Guerrilla warfare on an interstellar scale. Chief understood immediately. The UNSC had fought the Covenant the same way for years, hit and run, asymmetric tactics, turning enemy strength into weakness. These people weren't technological equals to their enemies. They were survivors who'd learned to punch above their weight class. You mentioned Goa'uld, Lasky said. Parasitic snakes pretending to be gods. How sophisticated is their technology? High-tech motherships with energy weapons and shields. Carter replied. Staff weapons, ribbon devices, sarcophagi for healing and resurrection. Naquata-based power systems. They've enslaved thousands of human worlds by posing as Egyptian, Norse, Greek, and Asian deities. Their soldiers are Jaffa, humans implanted with Goa'uld larvae that grant enhanced strength and healing. She met Chief's visor. You'd recognize the dynamic. Technologically superior occupying force, enslaved populations conditioned to worship them, and a resistance fighting for freedom. Chief thought of the Covenant's prophets, their promises of godhood through the Halo Array, the lies that had killed billions. Different galaxy, same evil wearing different masks. The system lords have been weakened over the last few years. Mitchell added. We've killed several, helped the Jaffa rebellion succeed, disrupted their power base. But they're still dangerous, and they're desperate. A ship like Infinity? They'd do anything to capture it. Let them try, Palmer said flatly. Landry smiled without humor. Commander, I appreciate the confidence. But you need to understand the scale we're dealing with. The Goa'uld have fleets numbering in the hundreds. They can glass planets from orbit. And they're not our only problem. He gestured to Carter. The Ori, she continued. Ascended beings from another galaxy who gain literal power from worship. They sent crusade ships through the Supergate 6 months ago. Their technology makes Goa'uld motherships look like toys. We've been fighting a losing defensive war ever since. Chief saw Lasky process this. New universe, multiple hostile factions, Earth outnumbered and outgunned. The UNSC had faced those odds against the Covenant. Infinity had been built because humanity refused to die quietly. What do you need? Chief asked. Landry raised an eyebrow. Direct. I like that. We're soldiers, Chief said simply. You're at war. We have capabilities. What do you need? Right now. Time to figure out if we can trust each other, Landry replied. Your ship carries enough firepower to conquer this planet or defend it. Your Spartans are super soldiers we can't match. And you're from another universe with technology we don't understand. He stepped closer. But you're also human. You fight for survival like we do, and you didn't shoot first when you arrived. So here's my proposal. Your crew gets temporary quarters at Area 51 and on Infinity. We share technical data, see if we can solve your FTL problem. And Master Chief accompanies SG-1 on a standard date mission. Nothing dangerous, just first contact with allies. Let's see how UNSC and SGC operate together in the field before we start planning grand strategies. Lasky looked at Chief, who nodded fractionally. Trust was earned through shared operations, not treaties. Agreed, Lasky said. When do we start? Mitchell grinned. How about tomorrow? There's a Talkare base requesting support on a reconnaissance mission. Low risk, good introduction to gate travel. He looked at Chief. Think you can handle walking through that thing, Spartan? Chief had jumped from orbit without a parachute, crashed into Forerunner installations, fought flood nightmares in deep space. A wormhole was just another door. Lead the way, Colonel. The mission briefing room felt simultaneously familiar and alien to Chief. Standard military setup, projection screen, tactical displays, mission parameters outlined in clean efficiency. But the content was pure science fiction made operational reality. Carter stood at the front, cycling through reconnaissance images of a desert planet designated P3X797, while SG-1 reviewed equipment manifests. Standard recon op, Colonel Mitchell explained, gesturing at the terrain maps. TOC RA intelligence flagged Goa'uld activity near an abandoned ancient outpost. We gate in, assess if it's a salvage operation or something more concerning, report back. In and out, for hours maximum. Chief studied the team composition. Mitchell, team leader, combat experience, carried a P90 and sidearm with the casual competence of someone who'd used them often. Carter, astrophysicist and soldier, her uniform showing the subtle wear patterns of field operations, not desk duty. Dr. Daniel Jackson, archaeologist and linguist, somehow less military in bearing but no less prepared. And TLC. The Jaffa warrior stood nearly 7 feet tall, broad-shouldered, with a gold symbol embedded in his forehead and eyes that had seen centuries of warfare. He wore modified Jaffa armor integrated with tactical gear, carried a staff weapon alongside human firearms, and studied Chief with the assessment of one warrior evaluating another. You are Spartan, TLC stated, not questioned. Spartan 2, Chief confirmed. Enhanced from childhood. Augmented. Armored. As Jaffa carries symbiotes for strength, TLC said. We are both weapons forged by those who sought to use us. Yet we chose our own path. He inclined his head fractionally. I would be honored to fight beside you, Master Chief. Chief returned the gesture. Respect recognized across galaxies, between soldiers who understood service and sacrifice. Jackson adjusted his glasses, examining the ancient outpost schematics. The structure predates Goa'uld occupation by millennia. If the system lords are interested, they might have detected an active power signature. Ancient technology requires the ATA gene to operate, something Goa'uld don't possess naturally, but they've learned to work around that limitation. He glanced at Chief. Your armor's AI assistance and HUD integration would be fascinating to compare with ancient neural interfaces. Focus, Daniel, Mitchell said with familiar exasperation. We're not bringing Chief along for comparative technology studies. We're seeing how UNSC handles gate ops. He looked at Chief. Standard rules. We go in peaceful, weapons lowered unless threatened. First contact protocols if we meet locals. If we encounter Jaffa, let us handle negotiation. They respond better to known quantities. Your job is observe, assist if needed, and don't get separated from the team. Gate travel is one way until we dial home. Understood, Chief said. His HUD displayed the mission parameters, threat assessments marked as moderate, and a countdown to gate activation in 7 minutes. Carter approached, holding a small earpiece communicator. Your MJOLNIR has integrated comms, but this is tuned to our frequencies. It'll link to your armor's systems. She handed it over, their fingers briefly touching, hers smaller, unaugmented, but steady with the confidence of someone who'd MacGyvered solutions to impossible problems routinely. Also, fair warning, gate travel feels strange. The wormhole disassembles you at the molecular level and reassembles you at the destination. Some people find it disorienting. Spartans might handle it better with your neural augmentations, but just be prepared. Chief had been disassembled and rebuilt by Forerunner technology before, had his consciousness digitized and transmitted across light years. Molecular disassembly was just another mission parameter. The gate room hummed with activity as SG-1 assembled on the ramp. Chief took position with the team, his MA-40 rifle maglocked to his back, M6 Magnum holstered at his thigh. Through the observation window, he saw Landry and Lasky watching. The general evaluating his decision to send the Spartan, the captain trusting Chief to represent UNSC capabilities professionally. Chevron 1 encoded, Walter announced. The gate began its rotation sequence, each symbol locking with mechanical precision. Chief's shields hummed at idle, motion tracker painting the gate room in his HUD's tactical overlay. 7 chevrons locked. The kawoosh erupted, settled into shimmering blue event horizon. SG-1, you have a go! Landry's voice echoed. Report in hourly. Good luck. Mitchell stepped through first, vanishing into the liquid surface without hesitation. Carter followed, then Jackson. TLC paused beside Chief. The first step is always the most difficult, the Jaffa said. But you have walked through fire before, Spartan. This is merely another door. Together, they stepped into the event horizon. The sensation defied Chief's neuroprocessing. Not pain, not cold, but a moment of complete dissolution. Every atom separated, transmitted through a stable wormhole at superluminal speeds, then reconstituted with perfect fidelity on the other side. His HUD flickered, rebooted, re-established connection to MJOLNIR systems in 0.3 seconds. Motion tracker repainted his surroundings. Desert. Twin suns burning in an alien sky. The Stargate behind them, DHD control pedestal nearby, and SG-1 already moving into tactical formation. Chief's boots hit sand that his sensors identified as silica-based with trace Naquata contamination. The air registered 31 degrees Celsius, low humidity, breathable atmosphere. His visor automatically polarized against the binary star's glare. 6,000 light-years from Earth, traveled in a single step. Welcome to P3X797, Mitchell said, scanning the horizon with tactical binoculars. Ancient outpost is 2 clicks northeast. Takari reported Goa'uld Alkesh spotted in orbit 3 days ago, but no ground forces detected. He glanced at Chief. How you feeling? Operational, Chief replied. Gate travel was just another insertion method. He dropped from orbit, launched from Pelicans, materialized via teleportation grid. The mission mattered, not the method. Carter studied her handheld scanner, picking up faint energy readings from the outpost. Consistent with standby power, not active operations. Could be automated systems or recent activation. She adjusted the device. Also reading Naquata traces in the sand. Someone's been here recently. Jackson moved to the DHD, examining the symbols carved into its surface. Where patterns suggest regular use. This gate gets dialed frequently, probably by the local population if there is one, or by someone using it as a waypoint. Spread out, standard recon formation, Mitchell ordered. TLC take point. Carter, stay on those energy readings. Daniel, watch for artifacts or writing. Chief, you're with me on rear security. He started moving, P90 ready but lowered. And remember, we're guests here until proven otherwise. The team moved across the desert with practiced efficiency, spacing that allowed mutual support without clustering. Chief adapted his Spartan tactics to their rhythm. SG-1 operated more loosely than UNSC fireteams, trusting individual initiative over rigid doctrine, but their coordination spoke of years working together. TLC's staff weapons swept the terrain ahead. The Jaffa moved with deliberate grace, each step calculated for maximum visibility of approach vectors. Chief's motion tracker confirmed what visual observation suggested. Empty desert, no hostiles within 300 meters. The ancient outpost emerged from the sand like a geometric anomaly, crystalline structures half buried, metal that Chief's materials analysis identified as similar to the Stargate's composition, and a central tower with symbols glowing faintly blue. That's new, Carter said, her scanner chirping urgently. Those symbols weren't active in the Takari surveillance images. Someone powered this up recently. Chief's threat assessment systems flagged movement. His HUD painted 3 contacts emerging from the outpost's entrance. Humanoid armored carrying weapons. His rifle came up smoothly, target acquisition tracking center mass. Hold fire. Mitchell commanded, raising one hand. Let's see who we're dealing with. The figures resolved into Jaffa warriors. 2 males and 1 female, wearing armor marked with an unfamiliar symbol, staff weapons raised but not activated. The lead warrior's eyes widened at the sight of TLC, then narrowed in recognition. Chauvier! The Jaffa spat the word like a curse. TLC the betrayer walks among the Tauri. His gaze swept to Chief, and confusion flickered across his features. What manner of warrior is this? TLC stepped forward, staff weapon lowered in deliberate non-aggression. I am TLC of the Free Jaffa Nation. These are my companions. We seek only to understand why this ancient facility has been activated. We mean you no harm unless you offer it first. The female Jaffa's eyes fixed on Chief, tracking the MJOLNIR armor's height, the weapon systems, the alien design. He is not Tauri. Not Jaffa. Not Goa'uld. What god does he serve? Chief's external speakers activated. I don't serve gods. I serve humanity. The lead Jaffa's expression shifted. Surprise, then something that might have been respect. Bold words. We shall see if you have the strength to speak them before our master arrives. He raised his staff weapon skyward, triggered 3 energy bursts in rapid succession. Signal flare. Chief's motion tracker screamed warning as his sensors detected incoming, massive vessel dropping from orbital position, death glider escorts screaming through atmosphere, and behind them, a hot-attack mothership that blotted out one of the suns. Mitchell's radio crackled. SG-1, this is Landry. We're reading Goa'uld ships inbound on your position. Get to the gate now. Too late, Carter said, watching the pyramid ship descend. They're blocking our withdrawal route. Chief checked his ammunition counter. Full magazine. The odds were impossible. He'd faced impossible before. The hot-attack mothership settled into low hover, its golden pyramid hull displacing sand in massive waves as repulsor fields kicked up a localized storm. Death gliders screamed overhead in attack formations, their energy weapons primed but not firing, yet. Chief's tactical assessment painted the situation in his HUD with brutal clarity. 1 Goa'uld capital ship, 12 fighter escorts, unknown ground forces deploying, and SG-1 caught in the open with a single Spartan as their heaviest asset. Defensive positions! Mitchell ordered, his team scattering to whatever cover the ancient outpost's ruins provided. Carter dove behind a crystalline column, Daniel pressed against a half-buried wall, TLC took a firing position with clear sight lines. Chief moved to the outpost entrance, his armor's shields the most resilient defense the team possessed. The 3 Jaffa warriors who'd signaled the attack now backed away, their staff weapons tracking SG-1 but holding fire. The lead warrior's voice carried across the sand. Witness the coming of Ba'al, System Lord and Master of this domain. Kneel before your god. Ba'al, Daniel muttered over the calm. Of course it's Ba'al. Because running into minor Goa'uld would be too easy. Refresh my memory, Mitchell said, sighting down his P-90. Ba'al is the one who clones himself, right? The sneaky, persistent one who won't stay dead? And one of the smartest system lords still operating, Carter confirmed. He doesn't waste resources on pointless displays. If he's here personally, this outpost contains something he considers critical. Chief watched the hot-axe forward hangar bay open, disgorging rings of golden light that materialized into Jaffa's shock troops. 20 warriors forming a perimeter, staff weapons raised, creating a corridor. The transport rings activated again, and a single figure emerged. Even without prior intelligence, Chief would have identified Ba'al as the commander. The Goa'uld wore ornate armor that mixed ancient Egyptian aesthetics with practical combat plating, a ribbon device glowing on his right hand, and he carried himself with the arrogance of someone who ruled star systems for millennia. His eyes flashed with the internal glow of a symbiote asserting dominance through its host. SG-1. Ba'al's voice resonated with harmonic distortion, the symbiote's modulation making each word carry weight. How predictable that you would investigate this facility. Always scurrying through the Stargate like insects, seeking technology you barely comprehend. His gaze swept the team, then locked onto Chief with sudden, intense focus. But this is unexpected. What manner of Tauri warrior are you? I sense no symbiote, yet you wear armor beyond their typical capability. Chief said nothing, his rifle trained on Ba'al's center mass, calculating that the Goa'uld's personal shield would deflect the first burst but might overload under sustained fire. The strong, silent type, Ba'al mused. How refreshing. Perhaps you'll prove more interesting than these tiresome repeat encounters with Mitchell's team. He raised his ribbon device hand. I offer you a choice, warrior. Surrender peacefully, allow me to claim this ancient facility, and I'll permit SG-1 to return through the Stargate unharmed. Resist, and my Jaffa will cut you down where you stand. We've heard that before. Mitchell called out. It usually ends with us blowing up whatever you're trying to steal and gating out while you're still monologuing. Ba'al's expression shifted to cold amusement. Then let me provide additional motivation. He gestured, and the transport rings activated once more, bringing through not warriors, but prisoners. 3 humans in tattered clothing, clearly terrified, held at staff weapon point by Jaffa guards. The population of a nearby village. They worship me, as is proper. But I'm willing to demonstrate divine mercy, if you cooperate. Chief's threat assessment recalculated. Hostages changed the tactical equation. A straight firefight would get civilians killed. Daniel, please tell me you have some ancient technology we can activate. Mitchell said quietly over the comm. Working on it. Jackson replied, his hands moving across symbols carved into the outpost entrance. But ancient interfaces require the ATA gene, and none of us have it naturally. Even the gene therapy we received is inconsistent. Chief moved beside Jackson, observing the symbols. Geometric patterns similar to Forerunner glyphs but organized under different linguistic principles. His neural implants processed the visual data, searching for pattern recognition algorithms that might translate alien language. Try this sequence, Chief said, his gauntlet hand indicating a specific combination of symbols. Similar activation pattern to Forerunner control interfaces. Central glyph for power initialization. Surrounding symbols for directional control. Jackson blinked. That's actually not a bad theory. He pressed the symbols in sequence. The ancient outpost responded immediately. Blue light cascaded through crystalline conduits, power surging from some buried reactor. The central tower's symbols blazed brighter, and panels slid open across the structure's surface, revealing weapon systems that had lain dormant for 10,000 years. Well, Carter said, staring at the automated defense turrets now tracking the Jaffa positions. That's new. Ba'al's eyes flashed with fury and something else, recognition. Impossible. That technology requires the gene of the ancestors. You should not have been able to. He stopped, studying Chief with renewed intensity. Unless your genetic augmentation included samples from their legacy. How fascinating. The ancient defense systems powered up fully, energy crackling along weapon emplacements. But they didn't fire, programmed to await command input, not autonomous engagement. Chief's tactical mind saw the opening. Active ancient weapons, Goa'uld forces in defensive posture, hostages still vulnerable but Ba'al's attention divided. They needed to force a withdrawal without triggering a massacre. Ba'al. Chief's external speakers activated, his voice carrying across the sand with MJOLNIR's enhanced audio. You want this facility. We want the prisoners released and safe passage to the Stargate. Proposed terms. The System Lord's expression shifted through several emotions, surprise, calculation, then grudging respect. A warrior who understands negotiation. How refreshing. He gestured, and the Jaffa guards pushed the prisoners forward slightly. Very well. I propose a contest. Single combat, you against my first prime. If you win, the prisoners go free and SG-1 may depart. If you lose, you surrender yourself to me, and SG-1 leaves without interference. The facility remains mine regardless. Don't do it, Chief. Mitchell warned over the comm. Ba'al doesn't honor deals. He does when his Jaffa are watching. TLC countered quietly. To break oath in single combat would undermine his authority. It is one of the few reliable aspects of Goa'uld culture. Chief assessed the situation. Ba'al's first prime would be their best warrior, enhanced by symbiote, experienced in combat, likely wielding superior Jaffa weaponry. But Chief had fought Covenant zealots, flood combat forms, and Promethean constructs. One enhanced human with a parasite was manageable. Agreed, Chief said. One condition, no weapons. Hand to hand only. Ba'al laughed, the sound carrying genuine amusement. You would face my first prime unarmed? Your confidence borders on delusion, warrior. But very well, I accept your terms. He turned to his ranks. Koresi, step forward. Show this Tauri the price of challenging the gods. A massive Jaffa emerged from the formation, easily 6.5 feet tall, heavily muscled, his armor bearing the scars of countless battles. The symbiote pouch in his abdomen pulsed with the larval gold that granted him enhanced strength and rapid healing. He removed his helmet, revealing a face marked with ritual scarification, and cracked his knuckles with anticipation. Chief maglocked his rifle, holstered his sidearm, and stepped into the improvised arena. The MJOLNIR armor provided significant advantage, enhanced strength multipliers, energy shields, trauma dampening. But Jaffa First Primes didn't survive to their position without being exceptional warriors. Korak circled slowly, his stance that of someone trained in multiple combat disciplines. I have killed Tauri soldiers by the dozens. You will be no different, regardless of your metal skin. Chief said nothing, settling into a ready position. Spartans didn't boast. They executed. The Jaffa attacked with explosive speed, a feint high, then a genuine strike low aimed at Chief's knee joint, trying to exploit perceived weaknesses in the armor. Chief pivoted, redirected the strike's momentum, and delivered a palm strike to Korak's solar plexus that sent the warrior stumbling backward. The Jaffa's eyes widened in shock. He'd expected resistance, but not the raw power behind Chief's counter. His symbiote pulsed, accelerating healing and flooding his system with combat enhancers. They engaged again, Korak using grappling techniques meant to negate strength advantages, Chief responding with Spartan close-quarters combat refined through decades of warfare against physically superior aliens. The fight became a brutal exchange of techniques, each warrior testing the other's limits. Chief caught Korak's arm mid-strike, twisted, and heard bone crack. The Jaffa roared, his symbiote already repairing the damage, and drove his forehead into Chief's visor with enough force to crack standard glass. The MJOLNIR faceplate held. Chief headbutt back. Korak dropped, unconscious before he hit the sand. Silence settled across the battlefield. The Jaffa warriors stared at their fallen first prime, then at Chief, processing what they'd witnessed. Ba'al's expression remained neutral, but his eyes flashed with calculation. Well, it appears I underestimated Tauri ingenuity. He gestured sharply. Release the prisoners. Honor the terms. The 3 hostages were freed, stumbling toward SG-1's position where Daniel and Carter immediately began providing aid. However, Ba'al continued, his voice hardening. The facility remains mine, as agreed. I suggest you depart before I reconsider my generosity. Mitchell activated his radio. Gate room, this is SG-1. Dial us home. We're coming in hot. Behind them, the Stargate activated, chevrons locking in sequence, the event horizon establishing. SG-1 moved toward it in tactical withdrawal, covering each other's retreat. Chief backed toward the gate, keeping Ba'al in his sight lines until the last moment. We will meet again, warrior, Ba'al called. And next time, I will know what you truly are. Chief stepped through the event horizon, molecular disassembly taking him 6,000 light-years in an instant, leaving the System Lord standing in the sand with an ancient facility and questions about the new variable that had entered his galaxy. Chief rematerialized in the SGC gate room to find medical teams rushing forward, General Landry descending the stairs with controlled urgency, and Captain Lasky's voice crackling over the facility's comm system demanding a status report. The three rescued villagers stumbled through behind him, Daniel and Carter already guiding them toward Dr. Lamb's waiting staff. "Stand down, medical," Mitchell called out, waving off the trauma team. "We're all intact." Chief just went 10 rounds with a Jaffa first prime and made it look easy. TLC inclined his head respectfully. Korak was among Ba'al's finest warriors. To defeat him in single combat without weapons is a feat worthy of song among the Jaffa. Landry approached, his expression unreadable. "Debrief in 15 minutes. I want full mission reports, and I want to know why an ancient outpost nobody's been able to activate for 3 years suddenly lit up like a Christmas tree the moment Master Chief touched it." He looked at Chief directly. "Good work getting those civilians out. But we need to talk about what just happened." The debriefing room filled quickly. SG-1, Landry, Carter with her laptop displaying mission telemetry, and via secure video link, Lasky from Infinity's bridge and Commander Palmer from the ship's Tactical Operations Center. "Let's start with the obvious question," Landry said, pulling up footage captured by SG-1's helmet cameras. "Master Chief activated ancient technology that requires the ATA gene, something our gene therapy can barely replicate consistently. How?" Carter froze, the image showing Chief's gauntlet hand touching the control interface. "I've been analyzing the activation sequence. The pattern recognition was brilliant, actually, using Forerunner interface logic to extrapolate ancient design philosophy. But that doesn't explain why the system responded. Ancient tech is biologically coded to their genetic markers. Unless the Spartans carry something similar," Jackson suggested, leaning forward. "The ancients were the first evolution of humanity in this galaxy. They ascended millions of years ago, but their genetic legacy exists in some humans naturally. It's rare. O'Neill has it, Shepard has it strongly. Maybe whatever augmentations created the Spartans included genetic sequences that overlap with ancient markers." Chief considered this. The Spartan 2 augmentations had rewritten his DNA at the cellular level, enhanced growth hormones, catalytic thyroid implants, superconducting fibrification of neural dendrites. Dr. Halsey had used cutting-edge genetic manipulation that pushed human biology to theoretical limits. Could some of those modifications have accidentally recreated markers from an ancient human subspecies in another universe? "We'd need to run genetic comparisons," Carter said. "But if the Chief can reliably interface with ancient technology, that's a game-changer. Most of our discoveries are locked behind gene requirements we can't bypass. Which is exactly why Ba'al took such interest," Mitchell added. "He recognized what was happening. Now he knows Earth has a warrior who can activate ancient tech and punch out Jaffa first primes. That puts a target on the Chief's back." Lasky's voice came through the comm. "General, what's the threat assessment? Should we be preparing for Goa'uld retaliation against Infinity? Ba'al's too smart for direct confrontation," Landry replied. "He'll gather intelligence first, probe for weaknesses, maybe try diplomatic contact to feel out your capabilities. System lords operate on calculated risk. They don't commit forces without understanding the opposition." He glanced at TLC. "Indeed. The Jaffa confirmed. Ba'al survived the fall of the System Lords through cunning and adaptation. He will seek to determine if the UNSC represents threat, opportunity, or potential alliance before acting." "Then we use that time," Palmer said from Infinity. "Continue tech exchanges with SGC, retrofit our systems to work with local FTL mechanics, and establish defensive protocols. If Ba'al wants intelligence, he'll find Earth has more than one ship capable of orbital defense." Carter smiled slightly. "Speaking of which, I'd like to bring Dr. McKay from Atlantis to consult on the Infinity Project. His ego will be insufferable, but he's the best engineer we have for integrating disparate technologies. Make it happen," Landry ordered. "But our immediate concern is the ancient outpost. Ba'al now controls a facility that was dormant for millennia. Colonel Carter, what could he gain from it?" Carter pulled up reconnaissance data. The outpost's power signature suggests it was a research station, possibly related to the Ancients' ascension experiments. If Ba'al accesses their databases, he could find information about ascension techniques, advanced weapons, or even Stargate addresses to hidden ancient facilities across the galaxy. And he'll torture that knowledge out of the technology using Goa'uld hacking methods. Daniel added grimly. We've seen what happens when system lords get their hands on ancient discoveries. Anubis nearly destroyed the galaxy with it. Chief listened to the strategic discussion with Spartan focus. The mission had revealed critical intelligence. Ancient technology responded to him. Goa'uld forces now knew about UNSC presence, and Earth faced threats operating at scales requiring new tactical approaches. But it had also demonstrated something else. SG-1 operated with competence and adaptability that matched UNSC standards. Recommendation, Chief said, his voice cutting through the discussion. Send a joint UNSC-SGC team back to the outpost. Ba'al will be analyzing the facility. We could gather intelligence on his operation, assess what he's learned, and potentially sabotage critical systems before he extracts ancient data. Landry considered this. That's a high-risk insertion. Ba'al will have tripled security. Which is why we send Spartans. Palmer interjected. Fire Team Majestic specializes in hostile infiltration. Pair them with SG-1's gate expertise and TOC-RA intelligence support, and you've got a team that can ghost in, gather actionable intel, and extract before Ba'al knows they were there. Mitchell grinned. I like how she thinks. General, we've run stealth ops against Goa'uld before. Adding Spartan capabilities would actually make this easier. TLC nodded. The Jaffa guarding the facility will not expect Tauri to return so quickly. Their confidence in Ba'al's superiority will create exploitable vulnerabilities. Landry drummed his fingers on the table, weighing operational risk against strategic necessity. All right. Joint operation, authorized. SG-1 leads, Fire Team Majestic provides tactical support. TOC-RA Liaison will meet you at the Alpha site with updated intelligence on Ba'al's force deployment. Mission objective, reconnaissance and sabotage if opportunity presents. Rules of engagement, avoid direct confrontation, gather intel, get out clean. He looked at Chief. Master Chief, you've proven you can handle gate operations. You're with SG-1 again. Consider it your formal introduction to how we fight wars through the Stargate. Understood. Chief acknowledged. The briefing dissolved into tactical planning, gate coordinates, equipment loadouts, contingency extraction protocols. Chief observed how SGC integrated multiple operational elements, TOC-RA intelligence networks, ancient technology advantages, Jaffa cultural knowledge through TLC, and pure human adaptability. They fought a guerrilla war against technologically superior enemies using asymmetric advantages. The UNSC had done the same against the Covenant for 3 decades. As the meeting concluded, Carter approached Chief with a data pad. I pulled together everything we have on ancient technology interfaces. Pattern recognition guides, power flow diagrams, known activation sequences. If you're going to be activating this stuff regularly, you should understand the theory behind it. Chief accepted the pad. Appreciated, Colonel. Sam, she corrected. We're going to be working together a lot if you keep lighting up ancient facilities. Might as well skip the formality. She hesitated. Can I ask, what was it like? Fighting the Covenant for all those years? Facing extinction and somehow winning? Chief considered the question. Reach burning. Installation 04 exploding. Cairo Station overrun with flood. High Charities fall. The Ark's activation. Cortana's sacrifice. Thousands of battles, billions dead, and humanity surviving by the thinnest margins. We adapted, he said finally. Found allies where we could. Fought when we had to. Never stopped moving forward. Sam nodded slowly. That's what we've been doing here. Different enemies, same desperation. She managed a tired smile. Glad we're on the same side, Chief. As she walked away to coordinate with Infinity's engineering staff, Daniel approached, still clutching his mission notes. "I've been thinking about something," the archaeologist said. "The ancients built the Stargate network to explore, to learn, to connect civilizations. The Forerunners built halo rings to contain the flood. Two ancient races, two completely different philosophies about how to face existential threats." He looked at Chief. "Which approach do you think was right?" Chief thought about the composer, the didact's solution, the librarian's gifts. Both faced extinction. Both made choices. The ancients ascended. The Forerunners activated the array and died. Neither approach saved everyone. But humanity inherited both legacies, Daniel said quietly. "Here, we have the Stargates. In your universe, you stopped the rings from firing. Maybe the real answer isn't choosing between exploration and containment, it's learning from both mistakes." Before Chief could respond, the alert klaxon sounded. Unscheduled off-world activation. Walter's voice echoed through the facility. Chief and Daniel rushed to the gate room observation deck. The Stargate spun through its dialing sequence, but the incoming wormhole code wasn't from any known friendly address. The event horizon stabilized. A single object materialized and clattered down the ramp, a Goa'uld communication device, still active. Ba'al's voice resonated through the gate room speakers, carrying aristocratic amusement. "Master Chief, I believe we were interrupted before proper introductions. I am Ba'al, and I wish to discuss terms. You and your magnificent ship have presented me with a fascinating opportunity, one that benefits us both. I propose a meeting, neutral territory, to explore mutually advantageous arrangements. After all, warriors of vision need not be enemies when greater prizes await." The transmission paused. "I'll expect your response within the day. Do try not to disappoint me." The wormhole collapsed. Landry stared at the communications device. "Well, that's new." The situation room filled with tension thick enough to cut with a combat knife. Landry stood at the head of the conference table, Ba'al's communication device sitting in the center like a venomous snake coiled to strike. Lasky had transported down from Infinity, his expression carrying the particular frustration of a commander dealing with enemy overtures he didn't trust. Chief stood beside the table, MJOLNIR armor still sealed, while SG-1 reviewed intelligence reports on Ba'al's historical tactics. "He's playing us," Mitchell said flatly. "Ba'al doesn't make genuine peace offers. He manipulates, subverts, and betrays. It's what he does." "Indeed," TLC agreed. "Ba'al's offers of alliance have historically preceded attempts at infiltration, assassination, or technological theft. He views negotiation as simply another form of warfare." Carter pulled up holographic displays showing Ba'al's operational history. "He's cloned himself at least 17 times that we know of. Eliminated most rival system lords through strategic manipulation rather than direct conflict. Survived the fall of the Goa'uld Empire by adapting faster than his contemporaries. And he's absolutely brilliant at identifying leverage points and exploiting them." "So what's his play here?" Lasky asked. "What does he want from us?" Daniel leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled thoughtfully. "Information primarily. He knows nothing about the UNSC except what he witnessed, a warrior who defeated his first prime, activated ancient technology, and represents a force with a ship bigger than anything in our fleet. From his perspective, you're an unknown variable that could threaten him or potentially be turned into an asset. He wants to recruit us," Chief stated. "Or determine if eliminating you is necessary," Landry added. "Either way, ignoring the offer isn't an option. Ba'al doesn't extend invitations lightly. If we refuse contact, he'll interpret it as hostile intent and act accordingly, probably by rallying other system lords against the new threat to unite them under his leadership." Lasky crossed his arms. "And if we accept the meeting? We gain intelligence on his objectives, his force deployment, and potentially his weaknesses," Carter said. "Ba'al's arrogance makes him believe he's always the smartest person in the room. That overconfidence creates exploitable opportunities. Chief studied the communication device, his tactical mind processing scenarios. Ba'al had deliberately contacted him specifically, not Landry or Lasky. The System Lord recognized the Spartan as the primary variable, the warrior who demonstrated capabilities beyond normal human limits. This wasn't a diplomatic overture. It was a recruitment pitch or a threat assessment. "I'll go," Chief said. "Alone?" "Absolutely not," Lasky responded immediately. "Chief, we don't operate that way. You're too valuable." "Which is exactly why Ba'al will negotiate honestly," Chief interrupted. "He wants to understand what I am, what UNSC capabilities are, and whether we're threat or opportunity. Send a delegation, and he'll play diplomatic games. Send me alone, and he'll engage directly because his curiosity outweighs his caution." Mitchell shook his head. "Chief, I respect the lone wolf approach, but Ba'al has killed people who met with him under flags of truce. He has no honor, no genuine moral constraints. You'd be walking into a trap." "Then I spring the trap and see what he's built," Chief said simply. "Spartans are designed for high-risk solo operations." TLC regarded Chief with the assessment of someone who understood warrior culture across civilizations. "There is honor in your willingness to face danger for strategic advantage. But Master Chief, you must understand, Ba'al will attempt to turn you. He will offer power, knowledge, technology that surpasses even Forerunner capabilities. The Goa'uld are masters of seduction through ambition." Chief's response was immediate. "I've been offered power before. I've refused gods and machines. One more parasite pretending at divinity won't change that." Landry studied Chief for a long moment, then glanced at Lasky. "Captain, this is your call. He's your asset." Lasky's jaw tightened, the conflict visible in his expression. Command responsibility warring against tactical necessity. Finally, he nodded. "Chief's right. We need intelligence on Ba'al's intentions, and conventional diplomacy won't get it. But he doesn't go alone." He looked at Carter. "Colonel, can we modify a subcutaneous transmitter to work through MJOLNIR armor? Something Ba'al's sensors won't detect?" Carter's mind was already racing. "Asgard communication technology operates on subspace frequencies Goa'uld sensors can't intercept. We could embed a transmitter in the Chief's armor plating that broadcasts real-time audio and vital signs. If things go wrong, we know immediately and could extract via Asgard beaming." "Do it," Landry ordered. "But understand, Chief, if Ba'al detects surveillance, he'll consider it an act of war. This meeting happens on his terms, in his territory, surrounded by his forces. You'll be completely exposed." "Acceptable," Chief acknowledged. The preparation took 4 hours. Carter and Infinity's engineering staff worked in concert, installing a microscopic subspace transmitter into Chief's armor's reactor housing where Goa'uld scanners would register it as normal power fluctuations. Roland coordinated with SGC systems, establishing secure channels and emergency extraction protocols. Meanwhile, Chief reviewed everything SGC had compiled on Ba'al. Personality assessments, tactical patterns, psychological profiles. The System Lord was cunning, patient, and utterly ruthless. But he valued intelligence over brute force, preferred manipulation over direct confrontation, and had survived this long by recognizing when to negotiate and when to strike. In the armory, Chief performed final weapons check. Mitchell approached, carrying a small device. "Talk RA poison detector," the colonel explained, handing it over. "Just in case Ba'al offers you a drink. Trust me, the Goa'uld love their poisons." He paused. "Look, I know Spartans are supposed to be invincible super soldiers, but even you can be killed. Ba'al's particularly good at finding ways to kill people everyone thought were unkillable." "I'll be careful," Chief said, maglocking the detector. "That's not what I meant." Mitchell's expression turned serious. "You don't have to prove anything to us, Chief. We already know you're capable. You don't need to take this risk alone to earn respect or trust." SG-1 operates as a team because we survive better that way. Chief considered this. The UNSC had drilled individual excellence into Spartans, but it was the bonds with Blue Team, with Cortana, with the Marines he'd fought beside that had kept him human through decades of war. Mitchell was offering the same thing, connection over isolation. Understood, Chief said. But this meeting requires the approach Ba'al expects. He respects warriors, not committees. Mitchell nodded reluctantly. Then make him regret inviting you. The response coordinates Ba'al provided led to a planet designated P2X887, a neutral world claimed by no System Lord, featuring ruins of an ancient diplomatic complex. SG teams had surveyed it years ago, stable, abandoned, no strategic value. Perfect for a trap. Chief stood before the Stargate as the dialing sequence completed, the event horizon shimmering with patient menace. Landry's voice came through his helmet calm. Final check, Chief. Subspace transmitter is green. We're reading your vitals clearly. Extraction team is standing by, one word, and we beam you out. Affirmative. Chief replied. And Chief? Lasky's voice joined the channel. Come back. Infinity needs its Spartans. Chief stepped through the event horizon. The ancient diplomatic complex materialized around him, grand halls carved from stone that predated human civilization, columns rising toward ceilings lost in shadow, and at the center, a circular meeting chamber illuminated by hovering gold light sources. Ba'al waited, seated on a throne that managed to look both ancient and distinctly Egyptian. He wore formal robes rather than armor, the ribbon device absent from his hand, a calculated display of confidence. 4 Jaffa guards flanked him, but their staff weapons were deactivated, lowered in ceremonial position rather than combat readiness. Master Chief, Ba'al greeted, rising with theatrical grace. How punctual! I appreciate professionalism, even in potential adversaries. His eyes swept over the MJOLNIR armor with unconcealed fascination. Magnificent. Your armor alone represents technological sophistication rivaling anything the Goa'uld possess. And the warrior within it defeated Korak in single combat, a feat few could claim. He gestured to an empty seat across from his throne. Please sit. Let us discuss the future as civilized beings. Chief remained standing, motion tracker painting the room's dimensions, threat assessment calculating kill zones and extraction routes. Ba'al smiled, unoffended. Of course. Warriors prefer to stand ready. I understand perfectly. He circled slowly, maintaining distance, studying Chief from multiple angles. I'll be direct, as I suspect you prefer. You and your UNSC represent a variable I didn't anticipate. Humans from another reality, possessing technology neither ancient nor Goa'uld, yet clearly formidable. This complicates my strategic calculations. I'm listening, Chief said. The Goa'uld Empire is dying, Ba'al stated bluntly. The System Lords are fragmenting, the Jaffa have rebelled, and new threats, the Ori, the Replicators, have emerged to challenge our supremacy. I've survived by recognizing reality rather than clinging to delusions of godhood. His eyes flashed. I know I'm not a god. The symbiote grants knowledge, longevity, and power, but divinity? That's theater for controlling the masses. Chief's HUD registered elevated stress markers in Ba'al's voice patterns, not deception, but genuine frustration. I propose an arrangement, Ba'al continued. You need allies in this galaxy to survive and potentially return home. I need partners with capabilities independent of traditional power structures. We could exchange information, technology, strategic support. The UNSC helps me consolidate remaining Goa'uld territories under rational leadership, and I provide you with resources, intelligence, and safe harbor while you solve your FTL dilemma. In exchange for what? Chief asked. Ba'al's smile turned predatory. Your loyalty would be appreciated. But I'm realistic. I simply ask that you don't align with my enemies, and that when opportunities arise for mutual benefit, you consider them favorably. He leaned forward. Think, Master Chief. Stargate Command operates under constraints, bureaucracy, politics, moral limitations. I operate under none of those restrictions. Together, we could reshape this galaxy into something more efficient. The offer hung in the air, calculated and tempting in its pragmatic ruthlessness. Chief's response was equally calculated. No. Ba'al's expression didn't change, but his eyes flashed with something darker than mere annoyance. Calculation reassessing, strategies reformulating in real time. No. How refreshingly absolute. He resumed his seat, fingers steepled beneath his chin. May I at least understand your reasoning? I've offered power, resources, and freedom from SGC's limiting morality. Most would consider those valuable commodities. I've seen what happens when power operates without constraints, Chief said. The Covenant enslaved species across galaxies under promises of transcendence. The Flood consumed everything in pursuit of perfection. Both claimed their methods were justified by necessity. His voice carried flat certainty. You're offering the same lie with different words. Efficiency through domination. Order through tyranny. I've fought that war already. But I'm not the Covenant, Ba'al countered smoothly. I don't claim religious authority or demand worship beyond what's politically expedient. I simply recognize that galaxy-wide civilization requires hierarchy, and those with superior capability naturally occupy superior positions. Meritocracy, not theology. Meritocracy doesn't require hosts enslaved by parasites, Chief replied. Doesn't require false gods ruling through fear. You dress it up as rational leadership, but it's still built on taking choice away from billions. Ba'al actually laughed, genuine amusement coloring his voice. You're absolutely correct. It is built on controlling choice. Just as your Spartans were built by taking choice away from children, augmenting them into weapons before they could consent, training them for warfare before they understood what they'd lost. He leaned forward. Don't pretend moral superiority, Master Chief. You were forged in the same fires I navigate, necessity overriding ethics, survival justifying sacrifice. The only difference is whose hand holds the knife. The words struck closer than Chief expected. Dr. Halsey's choices. The 75 children conscripted. The augmentation failures. The Spartans who died screaming during procedures meant to make them superhuman. Chief had accepted those costs because the Covenant threatened extinction, but Ba'al wasn't wrong about the moral compromises involved. The difference, Chief said carefully, is that Spartans defend humanity's choice to survive. You eliminate choice entirely. Philosophy. Ba'al waved dismissively. We could debate ethics for hours. Let me offer something more concrete. He gestured, and a holographic display materialized between them, star charts showing gate addresses, fleet deployments, and territory controlled by various system lords. This is the galaxy as it exists today. Fragmented. Chaotic. Multiple factions vying for dominance while greater threats consume the power vacuum. He highlighted several systems. These worlds contain ancient technology repositories, CPM caches, and research facilities that could solve your FTL incompatibility. SGC knows they exist but lacks resources to claim them. I could grant access. Chief studied the tactical data. The locations were genuine. His HUD cross-referenced them with SGC intelligence Carter had provided, finding matches. Ba'al was offering real strategic assets, not empty promises. In exchange for Infinity's support in your consolidation, Chief stated. A warship of Infinity's capabilities could secure these territories in weeks rather than years. Ba'al confirmed. Minimal casualties, maximum efficiency. Then we share the spoils. You gain technology for your return home. I gain stability to rebuild Goa'uld civilization into something sustainable rather than parasitic. The offer carried seductive logic. Infinity could accomplish Ba'al's objectives easily, and the ancient technology could genuinely solve UNSC's stranding. But Chief had learned to recognize poison dressed as pragmatism. Who controls the territories after we secure them? Chief asked. Under my governance, naturally, Ba'al said. But governed with enlightened rationality rather than divine tyranny. No more false worship, no more Jaffa slavery. A transitional authority guiding civilizations towards self-sufficiency. With you holding all the power, Chief said. With systems dependent on your infrastructure. With populations who need your permission to use the Stargates you control. He shook his head. Different packaging, same system. You're offering to trade one empire for another. Ba'al's pleasant demeanor cracked slightly. And what alternative do you propose? The SGC spreads democracy planet by planet, while the Ori Crusade burns through the galaxy? The free Jaffa nation fractures into civil war? Chaos and bloodshed while everyone clings to idealistic principles? His voice hardened. I'm offering stability. Order. A chance to prevent billions of deaths through preventive consolidation. Under your absolute authority, Chief repeated. No oversight. No accountability. Just your judgment determining who lives under which conditions. Better one rational authority than competing warlords. Ba'al shot back. Chief heard echoes of the Didact's logic. Preservation through domination, survival through control. The Forerunner had believed the mantle of responsibility justified any action. Ba'al believed superior capability justified absolute rule. Both paths led to extinction masquerading as salvation. I've seen rational authorities become monsters, Chief said. Power without accountability corrupts even good intentions. You might start with enlightened governance. 10 years later, it's the same tyranny you claim to oppose, just with your face instead of Ra's. Ba'al stood abruptly, the pretense of civility fracturing. Then you're choosing to side with the SGC? With their inefficiency, their moral paralysis, their pathetic crawling through the galaxy hoping someone doesn't notice how vulnerable Earth truly is? I'm choosing to defend humanity's right to choose, Chief corrected. Not to impose my judgment as absolute law. How noble, Ba'al sneered. And when the Ori ships arrive at Earth? When the Crusade demands conversion or extinction? Will your principles comfort the billions dying because you refused pragmatic alliance? If we win, it'll be because we fought for something worth preserving, Chief said. If we lose while defending that, it's still better than surviving as slaves. Ba'al's eyes flashed with rage, then suddenly cleared, emotion shut off like a switch, replaced by cold calculation. I see. You cannot be turned through reason or temptation. Which means... He smiled without warmth. You're too dangerous to leave opposing me. The Jaffa Guard's staff weapons activated in perfect unison, energy humming to lethal readiness. Additional warriors materialized from concealed positions. Transport rings depositing 20 soldiers in tactical formation surrounding Chief's position. I hoped for partnership, Ba'al said conversationally. But I'll settle for capturing you, extracting every tactical secret from your enhanced mind through Goa'uld memory technology, and reverse engineering your armor to create my own super soldiers. The UNSC will learn that refusing Ba'al carries consequences. Chief's motion tracker painted the tactical situation. 43 hostiles, weapons hot, kill box formation designed to overwhelm shields through concentrated fire. His shields could take maybe 10 staff weapon hits before collapse. After that, MJOLNIR armor would hold against another dozen. Then he'd be exposed. Last chance, Master Chief, Ba'al offered. Surrender peacefully, and I'll make the extraction process relatively painless. Resist, and my Jaffa have orders to cripple but not kill. The choice is yours. Chief's hand moved to his rifle with Spartan speed. I've made my choice. The SGC control room erupted into controlled chaos as Chief's subspace transmitter relayed the escalating confrontation. Landry was already moving before Ba'al finished his ultimatum. Get the extraction team ready! Asgard transporters on standby. Carter's fingers flew across her console. Locking on to Chief's signal, got him. Ba'al's shields are interfering, but we can punch through. Authorizing beam out on your command. Wait. Lasky's voice crackled from Infinity. Chiefs engaging. He's not requesting extraction. On the subspace feed, the first staff weapon blasts erupted. Chief's shields flared brilliant blue, absorbing 3 simultaneous hits, then 4 more. His MA-40 roared in response, 3-round bursts dropping Jaffa with surgical precision. Enhanced reflexes and motion tracker allowed him to track targets in 360-degree awareness, shields regenerating between volleys. But there were too many. A staff blast caught his shoulder, shields collapsing under focused fire. MJOLNIR armor absorbed the hit, trauma plating distributing energy across reactive layers. Chief rolled behind an ancient column, reloading with mechanical efficiency. Chief, we're extracting you now, Landry ordered. Negative. Chief's voice came back, steady despite the combat. Ba'al's revealing his forces. Numbers, tactics, equipment. Intelligence value outweighs extraction priority. You're going to get yourself killed for intelligence? Mitchell demanded incredulously. Spartans don't die easily, Chief replied. Another burst, 2 more Jaffa down. And Ba'al's making a mistake. He's committing forces without knowing Infinity's response capabilities. On Infinity's bridge, Lasky watched tactical feeds with the cold assessment of someone weighing options against lives. Roland, can we get a firing solution on that planet? The AI's avatar appeared. Their shields are down, Ba'al's overconfident. Mac rounds would reach surface in 43 seconds. But Captain, that's firing on a planet. Collateral damage would be significant. Adjust targeting. Palmer interjected. Precision strike on the complex only. Show Ba'al that threatening our Spartans has consequences. Lasky made the decision in heartbeats. Fire for effect. Single Mac round, precision targeting. Send a message. Infinity's magnetic accelerator cannon, designed to punch through Covenant capital ships, fired a tungsten round moving at a fraction of light speed. The projectile streaked through space, entered atmosphere, and impacted the ancient complex with apocalyptic force. The entire structure shook. Ancient stone cracked. Jaffa were thrown to the ground by the shockwave. Ba'al's eyes widened in genuine shock as ceiling sections collapsed around him. Next one goes through your hatak. Lasky's voice boomed through Chief's external speakers, amplified for everyone to hear. You have 10 seconds to stand down before I glass your position. The System Lord stared at the destruction, at the Spartans still standing amid the chaos, at the reality that he miscalculated badly. Withdraw. Ba'al ordered his forces. Immediate transport. Now. Golden rings materialized, pulling Jaffa away in rapid succession. Within seconds the chamber emptied. Only Chief and Ba'al remained. You've made an enemy today, Ba'al said quietly, backing toward his own transport ring. I would have been a valuable ally. Now you'll learn what Ba'al does to those who oppose him. Get in line, Chief replied. The transport ring took Ba'al, leaving Chief alone in the crumbling complex. Chief, we're beaming you out, Carter announced. Asgard light enveloped him, and SGC's gate room materialized around him once more. The entire command staff stood watching as he stepped down from the platform, armor scorched but functional, shields already regenerating. Landry approached slowly. That was reckless. That was necessary, Chief countered. Now we know Ba'al's capabilities, his response times, and his willingness to break neutrality agreements. Intel gathered. Mitchell shook his head, somewhere between impressed and exasperated. You Spartans have a really interesting definition of acceptable risk. TLC stepped forward, extending his arm in Jaffa warrior salute. You have earned Ba'al's hatred and his respect in equal measure. Both are dangerous, but both are useful. Well fought, Master Chief. Chief returned the gesture, warrior acknowledging warrior. And now, Landry said grimly, we prepare for war. Because Ba'al won't let this insult stand. He'll come at us with everything he has. The War Council convened 12 hours after Ba'al's failed ambush, bringing together command authorities from both Earth's forces, Landry for SGC, Caldwell representing the BC-304 fleet, and via holographic link, Lasky commanding from Infinity's bridge alongside Commander Palmer. The Situation Room's displays painted a sobering tactical picture: Ba'al's fleet movements, intelligence reports from TOC-RA operatives, and projections of retaliatory strikes. TOC-RA agents report Ba'al is consolidating his remaining clones, Carter briefed, highlighting star systems on the holographic display. 3 confirmed clone locations, possibly more hidden. He's recalling HOTAC motherships from border territories and establishing a defensive perimeter around his primary facilities. Defensive posture, Palmer observed. He's expecting us to strike first. Or he's baiting us into overextending, Caldwell countered. Ba'al survived this long by turning enemy aggression into strategic traps. We push into his territory, he hits Earth while our forces are committed elsewhere. Chief stood silent, reviewing the tactical data through his HUD's integration with SGC systems. Ba'al had demonstrated cunning and adaptability, but the System Lord had also revealed something critical during their confrontation. He was afraid. Afraid of the UNSC's unknown capabilities, afraid of losing his carefully maintained power base, afraid enough to break his own strategic doctrine by attempting direct confrontation. Fear made enemies predictable. He'll strike at Infinity, Chief said suddenly. Not Earth. Not SGC facilities. He wants the ship. All eyes turned to him. Explain, Landry ordered. Ba'al operates on calculated risk-reward, Chief continued. Earth has defensive satellites, BC-304s, F-302 squadrons, and the SGC with gate access to Allied reinforcements. Taking Earth requires massive force commitment with uncertain success. But Infinity? He gestured at Lasky's hologram. One ship, regardless of size, represents a finite target. Capture it, and he gains UNSC technology, Forerunner-derived systems, and eliminates the variable that threatens his consolidation plans. Lasky's expression hardened. Infinity can handle Goa'uld HOTACs. We outgun them individually. How many simultaneously? TLC asked, his tone carrying the weight of experience. Ba'al commanded fleets numbering in the hundreds during the height of System Lord power. Even diminished, he could marshal 20 motherships if sufficiently motivated. 20 HOTACs. Palmer pulled up comparative firepower analyses. Our MAC guns could punch through their shields, but sustained bombardment from that many vessels would overwhelm our defenses eventually. And if he uses kamikaze tactics, sacrificing ships to bring us down, he wins through attrition. Carter finished. Classic Goa'uld strategy when facing superior single combatants. Swarm them with numbers until they break. Roland's avatar materialized in the holographic conference space. I've been running simulations. Against 10 HOTACs, Infinity wins decisively. Against 15, it's contested. Against 20, we need to withdraw or risk catastrophic damage. The AI's expression turned uncharacteristically serious. And Captain, our slip space drive is still non-functional. We can't run if things go badly. The tactical reality settled over the room like a heavy weight. Infinity was the most powerful warship present, but it was also isolated, vulnerable, and stranded in a universe where its primary advantage, mobility, had been stripped away. Then we don't give Ba'al the opportunity, Landry said decisively. Infinity doesn't engage in open space. We bring the fight to terrain that favors us. The Alpha site, Daniel suggested, pulling up specifications for the SGC's secondary base on P3X984. Heavily fortified, surrounded by defensive satellites and orbital weapons platforms. If Infinity positions there, Ba'al has to fight through established defenses to reach you. Or we go offensive. Mitchell countered. Hit his cloning facilities before he consolidates forces. Decapitate his command structure by taking out the clones simultaneously. Carter shook her head. We don't have enough assets to strike 3 fortified locations at once. SG teams are good, but we're talking about Goa'uld motherships with thousands of Jaffa defenders. We'd need She trailed off, looking at Chief. Spartans, Palmer finished. Fireteams Majestic, Castle, and Kodiak. 36 Spartan I versus total, plus Master Chief. Combined with SG teams for gate expertise and Tok'ra intelligence for infiltration routes. Her holographic form leaned forward. Captain, this is what Spartans were designed for. Decapitation strikes against overwhelming enemy forces. Lasky's jaw tightened. Sarah, we're talking about sending our people into Goa'uld strongholds with minimal support, no extraction guarantee, and facing enemies that can call an orbital bombardment if things go wrong. Which is every Tuesday for SG teams. Mitchell interjected. General, we've run missions exactly this risky for years. Add Spartan capabilities to our operations, and frankly, our odds improve dramatically. TLC nodded. The Free Jaffa would support such an operation. Many still loyal to Ba'al would abandon him if his clones were eliminated simultaneously. It would prove his mortality, shatter the illusion of divine resurrection. Rebellion would spread through his territories like wildfire. Chief processed the strategic calculus. 3 simultaneous strikes, maximum tactical violence, eliminate Ba'al's command redundancy before he could marshal overwhelming force. It was the kind of operation ONI would approve. High risk, high reward, relying on elite operator capability over numerical advantage. It's viable, Chief said. Assign 1 Spartan fire team and 1 SG team per target. Tok'ra provides insertion intelligence and exit strategy. Jaffa Rebellion creates chaos in enemy ranks during the operation. Infinity provides orbital support where possible and serves as extraction point if missions succeed. And if they fail? Caldwell asked grimly. Then Ba'al consolidates anyway, and we fight the defensive war we're trying to avoid. Landry replied. He looked around the room, reading the tension and determination in equal measure. I won't order this. The risk is too high. But if volunteers step forward. SG-1 volunteers, Mitchell said immediately. As do I. TLC added. Carter and Daniel exchanged glances, then nodded in unison. Palmer's hologram straightened. Fireteams Majestic, Castle, and Kodiak are ready for deployment on Captain Lasky's authorization. Lasky studied his Spartan commander, then chief, weighing command responsibility against strategic necessity. Finally, he nodded. Authorized. But I want redundant extraction plans, full tactical support, and real-time intel feeds. Nobody gets left behind. Agreed. Landry confirmed. Colonel Carter, coordinate with Infinity's tactical staff. I want mission packages for all 3 targets within 4 hours. Tok'ra Liaison will provide updated facility layouts and clone location confirmations. He looked directly at Chief. Master Chief, you'll lead the strike on Ba'al's primary facility. The original clone, the one with the most strategic knowledge and command authority. That's the hardest target. Understood. Chief acknowledged. The next 4 hours became a whirlwind of preparation. Spartan fireteams reviewed Goa'uld ship layouts, practiced with captured staff weapons and ZAT guns, studied Jaffa tactical doctrine. SG teams briefed their Spartan counterparts on gate travel protocols, cultural considerations, and the importance of adapting to unexpected developments. A specialty of Stargate operations. In Infinity's armory, Chief performed final equipment checks while Palmer coordinated team assignments via holographic interface. Fireteam Majestic would hit the secondary clone on P4X221, supported by SG-3. Fireteam Castle would target the tertiary clone on P7J989 with SG-12 providing gate expertise. Chief and SG-1 would assault Ba'al's primary facility on P2X338, the most heavily defended target. You know this is insane, right? Palmer said, watching Chief methodically check his rifle's action. Even for Spartans, raiding a Goa'uld mothership in orbit over a fortified planet is suicide mission territory. Spartans don't die, Chief replied. We just go missing in action. Palmer's expression softened slightly. John, I know you're the legendary Master Chief, but you're not invincible. You've already been stranded in another universe, fought off a Goa'uld ambush, and now you're walking into the heart of enemy territory. Even you have limits. Chief looked up from his weapons check, his gold visor reflecting her holographic form. The mission requires eliminating Ba'al's command structure before he attacks Infinity. There's no one better qualified for the primary target. I know, Palmer said quietly. Just come back. We've lost too many Spartans already. Blue team needs their leader. The weight of absent comrades settled over Chief. Linda, Kelly, Fred scattered across operations when the slip space rupture had torn them apart. Sam, who died on Argent Moon. The countless Spartanias who'd fallen over decades of war. Every mission carried the possibility of adding another name to the list of those who went missing but never came home. I'll complete the mission, Chief said, which was the only promise a Spartan could make. The gate room filled with organized chaos as 3 strike teams assembled. Spartans in MJOLNIR armor stood alongside SG personnel in tactical gear, creating a visual representation of 2 military cultures merging for a common objective. TalkRA agents provided last-minute intelligence updates via holographic communication, confirming clone locations and defensive positions. Landry descended to the gate room floor, his expression carrying the burden of command. Sending people into danger, knowing some might not return, accepting that responsibility because the alternative was worse. All teams, he announced, his voice carrying over the assembled operators. This is a decapitation strike against a superior enemy force. You'll be outnumbered, outgunned, and operating in hostile territory with minimal support. But you're the best warriors 2 Earths can field. Complete your objectives, get out alive, and show Ba'al that threatening humanity, any humanity, carries consequences. He paused. Good luck. And good hunting. The Stargate activated, chevrons locking in sequence, the event horizon establishing with its familiar shimmer. Chief checked his team one final time, Mitchell, Carter, Daniel, and TLC, each carrying the quiet confidence of veterans who'd survived impossible odds repeatedly. They nodded ready. Together they stepped through the wormhole toward Ba'al's primary stronghold and whatever waited on the other side. P2X338 Stargate deposited the team in a forest clearing 3 kilometers from Ba'al's primary facility. Chief's motion tracker immediately painted the tactical environment, dense vegetation providing natural concealment, atmospheric readings showing elevated Nequata radiation consistent with active Goa'uld technology, and overhead, the massive silhouette of a Hatak mothership in geosynchronous orbit above their target. Eyes up, Mitchell whispered, gesturing toward the pyramid ship. Ba'al keeps his primary clone aboard that beauty. Which means we're not just infiltrating a ground facility, we're boarding a mothership. Carter consulted her handheld scanner, its display casting blue light across her face. TalkRA Intel says the facility below is a cloning lab with direct transport ring connection to the Hatak. We infiltrate the lab, use their own rings to beam aboard, locate Ba'al, and eliminate him before his forces realize we're there. Simple, Daniel muttered. Except for the 1,000 Jaffa, automated defenses, and the fact that Ba'al's probably expecting exactly this kind of strike. Indeed, TLC agreed, his staff weapon held ready. Ba'al is cunning. He will have anticipated retaliation and prepared accordingly. We must assume every advantage is a potential trap. Chief accessed the tactical overlay Carter transmitted to his HUD. Facility schematic showed a pyramid structure half buried in the mountainside, for guard towers at cardinal points, patrol patterns cycling every 12 minutes. The cloning facility proper sat underground, protected by energy shields and automated weapon systems that would activate the moment unauthorized personnel entered. Entry point, Chief said, marking a location on the shared tactical display. Service entrance on the western approach. Minimal coverage, single patrol. We neutralize them quietly, breach the entrance, and move fast before the next patrol cycle detects the absence. Mitchell studied the route, nodding approval. Classic infiltration. I like it. Carter, can you bypass Goa'uld security systems? Given enough time, yes, she replied. But their technology is designed to resist tampering. Every second we spend on doors is a second they have to detect us. Then we don't give them seconds, Chief said, already moving through the forest with the silent efficiency that defines Spartan stealth operations. The team followed, adapting to his pace. Mitchell and Teal'c with practiced ease, Carter focused on her scanner, Daniel somehow managing to avoid tripping over roots despite his attention being divided between navigation and archaeological observations about the ancient ruins they passed. The patrol appeared exactly where Takare intelligence predicted, 2 Jaffa warriors walking the perimeter with board efficiency, their staff weapons slung casually. They'd probably been on this duty rotation for weeks, seeing nothing more threatening than local wildlife. That complacency cost them. Teal'c moved with the silent precision of someone who'd spent a century as first prime, closing the distance in heartbeats. His staff weapon struck the first Jaffa's temple with calculated force, enough to render unconscious, not kill. The second warrior managed half a shout before Chief's hand clamped over his mouth, the other arm applying pressure to the carotid artery until the Jaffa went limp. "Bind and conceal them," Mitchell ordered, already dragging bodies into undergrowth. "We've got 11 minutes before the next patrol notices they're missing." Carter worked on the service entrance, her tools interfacing with Goa'uld control crystals. Security's standard configuration, but there's something odd about the power distribution. The shields are drawing more energy than necessary for a cloning facility. "Additional defenses?" Daniel suggested. "Or they're powering something else," Carter replied, fingers flying across her equipment. "Either way, we'll find out soon enough." And done. The door slid open with the whisper of ancient mechanisms. "We're in." The facility's interior matched Takare intelligence almost perfectly, corridors carved from stone and reinforced with Naquad-infused metals, lighting provided by wall-mounted gold panels casting everything in amber illumination. Chief's motion tracker painted 3 patrols ahead, their routes predictable enough to avoid through careful timing and alternative corridor selection. They moved deeper, bypassing guard posts and automated sensors through a combination of Carter's technical expertise and Chief's tactical route planning. The cloning chambers appeared after 5 minutes of infiltration, cylindrical tanks filled with amber liquid, each containing a body in various stages of development. Some showed Ba'al's features clearly, others were barely formed, genetic material awaiting final maturation. "Creepy," Mitchell observed, studying the tanks with obvious distaste. "How many clones does one egomaniacal snake need?" "As many as paranoia demands," Daniel replied, examining control consoles. "Ba'al knows every system lord who's died stayed dead. Cloning is his insurance policy against permanent mortality." Teal'c moved to the transport ring controls, his fingers working across the interface with familiarity born of decades using Goa'uld technology. "The rings are active and calibrated to the HOTAC above. We can transport directly to the ship's cloning bay where Ba'al will be monitoring the facility's operations." "One problem," Carter interjected, still scanning. "That excess power I detected? It's shielding the Mothership's internal sensors from detecting unauthorized ring transport. Ba'al's isolating his cloning operations from the rest of his forces. Chief processed this tactically. He's afraid of infiltration. Doesn't trust his own people near the clones. Which means once we're aboard, we'll be operating in an isolated section with limited enemy forces," Mitchell said, catching on. "He's built his own kill box and locked himself inside. Or he's anticipated this exact scenario and prepared a trap," Daniel cautioned. "Only one way to know," Chief said, stepping onto the ring platform. "We transport up, locate Ba'al, eliminate him before he can activate whatever defenses he's prepared." The team assembled on the platform, weapons ready. Teal'c activated the sequence, and golden light enveloped them, molecular disassembly and reconstruction transporting them through solid matter and void to rematerialize inside the HOTAC's cloning chamber. Ba'al waited, seated on a throne positioned perfectly to face the transport rings, a smile of cold satisfaction on his face. Behind him stood not Jaffa guards, but something worse. Co-warriors, the genetically engineered super soldiers in their impenetrable armor, carrying weapons designed to penetrate any shield. 6 of them, positioned to create overlapping fields of fire. Master Chief, Ba'al greeted pleasantly. Exactly on schedule. I do appreciate punctuality, even from those who've come to kill me. The trap closed with perfect timing, shield emitters activated, sealing the chamber, and automated weapons emerged from concealed wall panels. Chief's motion tracker screamed warnings as his tactical assessment recalculated from infiltration mission to desperate close-quarters battle. You expected us, Carter said, already analyzing the shield frequency with her scanner. Expected? I counted on it. Ba'al stood, gesturing expansively. You're predictable, all of you. Face an overwhelming threat, and you respond with decapitation strikes against leadership. Standard special operations doctrine across every human military in history. His eyes locked onto Chief. I knew you'd come personally. Your pride as a warrior wouldn't allow subordinates to face the primary target. And I knew you'd bring SG-1, because their expertise makes success possible. Mitchell's P-90 tracked the co-warriors, knowing the futility but maintaining discipline. So this whole cloning facility is bait. Partially. Ba'al confirmed. The clones are real. I do require redundancy. But their primary function today is luring you into a controlled environment where your advantages become irrelevant. He activated a control device, and holographic displays materialized showing other locations. Even now, my forces engage your other strike teams. Fireteam Majestic fights for survival on P4X221. Fireteam Castle is pinned down on P7J989. All according to plan. Chief saw the larger strategy crystallize. Ba'al had sacrificed his clone facilities to draw out Earth's best operators, scatter them across multiple battlefields, and eliminate them simultaneously. It was brilliant, ruthless, and exactly the kind of calculated risk the System Lord would take. However, Ba'al continued, I'm not entirely unreasonable. Surrender now, and I'll order my forces to capture rather than kill your comrades. Your Spartans and SG teams will live as my honored prisoners. Refuse, and they die screaming while you watch through these displays. The holographic feeds showed desperate firefights. Spartans in MJOLNIR armor fighting back-to-back with SG personnel, surrounded by overwhelming Jaffa numbers, taking casualties, running out of ammunition. Real-time transmissions Carter's scanner confirmed as genuine. Chief's tactical mind calculated options. Breaking through 6 co-warriors and automated defenses was theoretically possible, but it would take time the other teams didn't have. Surrendering guaranteed their survival but gave Ba'al everything he wanted. There was a third option. Roland, Chief said quietly into his comm, knowing the AI was monitoring through the subspace transmitter. Execute Omega Protocol. Ba'al's expression shifted to confusion. What? Infinity's Mach cannons fired, not at the planet, but at precise coordinates in orbit. The tungsten rounds, moving at relativistic speeds, punched through the Hotax hull at calculated points, avoiding the cloning chamber where Chief's team was trapped, but devastating power distribution, shield generators, and engine systems throughout the mothership. The vessel shuddered violently. Lights flickered. The shield containing Chief's team collapsed as power routing failed. Now! Chief roared. SG-1 and the Spartan moved as one unified force. Chief's rifle barked, armor-piercing rounds targeting co-warrior joints where armor was thinnest. Mitchell and Carter focused suppressing fire on automated defenses. Teal's CS staff weapon discharged at maximum power, its energy blast disrupting sensors. Daniel, surprisingly, threw a Goa'uld shock grenade he'd apparently been carrying, creating additional chaos. The co-warriors returned fire, their weapons cutting through air where Chief had been milliseconds before. MJOLNIR's enhanced mobility allowed impossible dodges, and Chief closed the distance, engaging in brutal melee combat. His armored fist connected with a Goa'uld's helmet, the impact augmented by MJOLNIR's strength multipliers, and the supposedly invincible super-soldier staggered. Ba'al ran, abandoning his throne and dignity, sprinting toward an escape transport ring. Carter shot the control panel, sparks flying, the rings powering down. "Nowhere left to run," Mitchell said, his P-90 trained on the System Lord. Ba'al's eyes flashed with rage and calculation. "You're destroying my ship. We'll all die when it crashes." "Then we die together," Chief replied, advancing. "Your choice." The System Lord looked at the Goa'uld warriors being systematically dismantled, at his escape route disabled, at the feeds showing his forces on other worlds beginning to falter as news of the Mothership's damage spread. He'd planned for everything except Infinity's willingness to fire on its own people's location with precision accuracy. Ba'al's shoulders slumped fractionally, defeat accepted with the bitter grace of someone who'd survived by knowing when battles were lost. "I surrender," he said quietly. The Hatak shuddered again as secondary explosions rippled through its damaged systems, the ancient vessel groaning like a dying leviathan. Chief kept his rifle trained on Ba'al while Carter worked frantically at the damaged transport ring controls, her fingers flying across exposed circuitry with the desperate precision of someone racing against catastrophic failure. "I can reroute power from auxiliary systems," she announced, sweat beading on her forehead despite the dropping temperature as life support failed. "But it's a one-shot deal. Once we activate these rings, they're dead. No recall, no second chance." "How long until this ship hits atmosphere?" Mitchell asked, already helping TLC secure Ba'al with restraints stripped from defeated Goa'uld warriors. 6 minutes, Daniel replied, watching structural integrity warnings flash across Goa'uld displays. "Maybe 7 if we're lucky. Then we stop talking and start moving," Chief said. He activated his comm. "Roland, status on other teams." The AI's response crackled through interference from the failing ship. "Fire Team Majestic successfully eliminated their target. Secondary clone is terminated, facility destroyed. They're en route to extraction coordinates. Fire Team Castle encountered heavier resistance but accomplished mission objectives. SG-12 took casualties but everyone's alive." Both teams requesting immediate pickup. "Infinity's en route." Lasky's voice joined the channel. "Asgard transporters are locked onto all friendly signatures. Prepare for emergency beam-out in 90 seconds. Carter sparked 2 final connections, and the transport rings hummed to reluctant life, power reserves barely sufficient for activation. "Got it. Rings are active, but destination is random, wherever they were last calibrated. Could be another part of the ship, could be the planet's surface. Anywhere but here," Mitchell said, shoving Ba'al onto the platform. "Move." SG-1 and Chief assembled on the rings as the cloning chamber's ceiling began collapsing, support beams screaming under stress. The golden light of Goa'uld transport technology enveloped them just as a massive explosion tore through the adjacent bulkhead, and molecular disassembly took them away from immediate death. They rematerialized on P2X338's surface, in the cloning facility they'd infiltrated earlier. Above them, Ba'al's Hatak broke apart in orbital fire, pieces of the pyramid ship trailing flames as they plummeted toward the planet. Jaffa warriors throughout the compound stared upward in shock, watching their god's vessel die in the sky. TLC stepped forward, his voice booming with command authority honed over a century of leadership. "Jaffa! Your master is defeated! Ba'al kneels before us in chains. The age of false gods ends today. Lay down your weapons and embrace freedom, or die defending a lie." The nearest Jaffa, a younger warrior whose staff weapon trembled in uncertain hands, looked from TLC to Ba'al, seeing the System Lord restrained and helpless. His weapon clattered to the ground. Then another. Within seconds, the entire compound's garrison had surrendered, the illusion of divine invincibility shattered by witnessing their god captured and his greatest ship destroyed. White light from Asgard transporters materialized around the team, and SGC's gate room replaced the alien facility. Landry waited with a full security detail, Weapons trained on Ba'al as the System Lord was escorted off the transport platform and immediately surrounded by armed guards. "Secure him in the detention level," Landry ordered. "Maximum containment protocols. I want shields, guards, and monitoring 24/7. He doesn't sneeze without us knowing about it." As Ba'al was led away, the System Lord caught Chief's gaze one final time. No anger showed in his expression now, only cold calculation, the mind of someone already planning next moves from defeat's position. "This isn't over, Master Chief," Ba'al said quietly. "I may be captured, but the galaxy's threats don't end with me. The Ori still come. Ancient dangers still wake. You'll find you need allies with my knowledge before this is finished." Chief said nothing, watching the Goa'uld disappear into SGC's detention facilities. The System Lord wasn't wrong. Eliminating one threat rarely solved everything. But humanity had survived by taking victories where they could and dealing with tomorrow's problems when tomorrow came. The debriefing took hours. All 3 strike teams reported successful mission completion. Ba'al's clone network destroyed, his primary clone captured, his forces scattered. Takare intelligence confirmed Jaffa rebellion spreading through Ba'al's former territories as news of his defeat propagated across the Gate network. The System Lord's carefully constructed power base was collapsing without his clones to maintain continuity of command. "Strategic victory," Caldwell summarized, reviewing the operational reports. "We've eliminated a major threat and demonstrated that both Earths, can coordinate effective offensive operations against System Lord targets. That'll make other Goa'uld think twice before moving against us." "At what cost?" Carter asked quietly, pulling up casualty reports. "Fireteam Castle lost 2 Spartans, 3 wounded. SG-12 has 1 critically injured. We destroyed a Hatak, but debris from its crash killed approximately 200 civilians on P2X-338. The facility we infiltrated was staffed partially by slave workers who died when we demolished it during extraction." The room fell silent. Victory always carried a price, but seeing it itemized in casualty figures and collateral damage assessments made the cost tangible. Chief thought of the 2 Spartans who wouldn't return to Infinity, young soldiers who'd volunteered for a mission in a universe not their own, fighting enemies they'd barely understood, dying for an Earth that wasn't even theirs. Their sacrifice mattered. But it also hurt. "We'll honor them," Lasky said, his voice carrying the weight of command responsibility for lives lost under his orders. "Memorial service aboard Infinity tomorrow. Full military honors. They died as Spartans, completing the mission. And the civilians?" Daniel pressed, his archaeologist empathy unable to accept collateral damage as mere statistical necessity. Landry met his gaze steadily. "We'll provide aid to P2X-338, help rebuild what our operation damaged. It's not enough, but it's what we can offer." He looked around the room. "War is ugly. We try to minimize harm, but sometimes people die who shouldn't. We carry that weight and keep fighting because the alternative, letting the Ba'als and Oris and every other threat run unchecked, costs more lives in the long run." It was the calculus Chief had lived with since childhood. The math of acceptable losses, necessary sacrifices, and choices made in impossible situations. The Spartan program had cost 75 children their normal lives to save billions. Halo's activation had been prevented at the cost of countless soldiers. Every victory came with a bill that someone had to pay. So what now? Mitchell asked. Ba'al's contained, his networks destroyed, but we've still got the Ori Crusade, potential retaliation from other system lords, and Infinity still stranded without working FTL. Carter's expression shifted to something more hopeful. Actually, that might have changed. During the Hatak infiltration, I managed to download data from Ba'al's personal archives. She activated a holographic display showing ancient database entries. He'd been researching alternate intergalactic hyperspace technology, trying to reverse engineer ancient FTL systems. His notes include power distribution algorithms and dimensional coefficient adjustments that could help us adapt Infinity's engines to work with our universe's physics. Lasky leaned forward, hope and caution warring in his expression. Could? How long until could becomes confirmed? Weeks, maybe months, Carter admitted. But it's the first real breakthrough we've had. Combine Ba'al's research with our own analysis of ancient tech and Infinity's Forerunner-derived systems, and we might actually solve this. Might. Roland's avatar interjected from the holographic display. I appreciate optimism, but I'm running probability scenarios, and the odds of successfully integrating 3 completely different FTL methodologies are not great. Better than 0. Palmer countered. Which is what we had before today. TLC rose, his presence commanding attention through simple dignity. Today, warriors from 2 Earths fought as one and achieved victory against an enemy who has plagued this galaxy for millennia. Master Chief and the UNSC Spartans have proven themselves worthy allies. The free Jaffa nation will remember this, and our friendship is offered freely. He placed his right fist over his heart in salute. We are stronger together than divided. Chief returned the gesture, warrior respecting warrior across the boundaries of species and universe. The UNSC honors the alliance. Landry stood, signaling the debriefing's conclusion. We've won a battle today. Maybe bought ourselves time before the next crisis. Take that victory, honor the fallen, and prepare for whatever comes next. Dismissed. As the room emptied, Chief remained, staring at the holographic display showing Infinity in orbit. The massive supercarrier that represented home, crew, and mission. Stranded in another universe, the ship's crew had adapted, fought alongside new allies, and proven that humanity's determination to survive transcended dimensional boundaries. Cortana would have appreciated the irony. John 1:17, who'd spent decades fighting to save one Earth, now defending 2. The memorial service took place in Infinity's hangar bay, the massive space configured to accommodate the ship's full crew complement. Captain Lasky stood before 2 empty MJOLNIR helmets representing the fallen Spartans, their service records displayed on screens behind him, while the assembled crew stood in dress uniforms. A sea of humanity from another Earth paying respects to warriors who died defending this one. Spartans never die, Lasky said, his voice echoing through the bay. They're just missing in action. But we know the truth. We know Spartan 104 and Spartan 117. He paused, correcting himself. Spartan 139. We know they gave their lives completing a mission they volunteered for, in a universe they didn't choose, for people they just met. That's the definition of heroism. Not fighting for glory or recognition, but fighting because it's right. Chief stood at attention, his armor polished to mirror finish, honoring comrades who had followed him into danger one final time. Blue Team should have been complete. Another mission had taken 2 more names, added them to the long list of Spartans who had fallen since Dr. Halsey first began the program. The price of victory kept climbing. But the mission continued. After the service, as crew members dispersed to duty stations, Carter approached Chief with her data pad displaying research notes. I wanted you to see this. The ancient database entries from Ba'al's ship include references to something called Destiny. An ancient vessel launched millions of years ago on an automated mission. The coordinates are galaxy-spanning, but the technology could help us understand FTL integration better. Another mission, Chief observed. Isn't it always? Carter smiled slightly. But this one might get you home. Worth pursuing, I think. Chief looked out through the hangar's atmospheric shield at Earth rotating below, not his Earth, but one worth defending nonetheless. Somewhere across dimensional barriers, his universe still fought the created, still struggled with Cortana's legacy, still needed Spartans. But here, now, this Earth needed defenders too. We'll pursue it, Chief agreed. After we've established stable defenses against the Ori threat. One mission at a time. Carter nodded, understanding. One mission at a time. Indeed. Through Infinity's windows, the Stargate program's legacy shimmered, a network connecting thousands of worlds, ancient technology empowering human exploration, and now, the UNSC joining that legacy. The wormhole that had brought them here might eventually carry them home. But until then, they'd stand with SG teams, free Jaffa, and all who fought against tyranny among the stars. Chief had stepped through the Stargate seeking intel on Ba'al. He'd found something more valuable, proof that across universes, across impossible odds, humanity endured. And when warriors like SG-1 and Spartans like him stood together, even gods could fall. The mission continued. The gate remained open. And somewhere in ancient databases, answers waited for those brave enough to seek them. Master Chief and the UNSC Infinity had entered the Stargate universe as strangers, torn from their reality by forces beyond understanding. They'd found not enemies, but allies, soldiers who fought with the same determination, who faced extinction with the same refusal to surrender, who understood that sometimes the only choice was to stand and fight regardless of odds. Ba'al's defeat proved that cooperation between SGC and UNSC created something greater than the sum of its parts. Ancient technology responded to Spartan genetics. MJOLNIR armor complemented Gate team tactics. Infinity's firepower combined with Earth's defensive networks created a deterrent against System Lord aggression. But victory came with sobering costs. Fallen Spartans. Civilian casualties. The knowledge that eliminating one threat simply revealed the next. The Ori Crusade still looming, ancient mysteries still unsolved, and Infinity still stranded without reliable FTL capability. Yet hope persisted. Carter's research offered potential solutions to the FTL problem. TalkRA intelligence networks now included UNSC coordination. The free Jaffa embraced Spartans as fellow warriors who'd fought for freedom against false gods. And Chief had discovered that defending humanity meant something, whether that humanity originated from his universe or this one. The Stargate network connected thousands of worlds across millions of light years. Somewhere in that vast tapestry of gates and civilizations, answers existed, ancient technology capable of bridging dimensional barriers, knowledge that could return Infinity home, or perhaps missions that mattered enough to stay. General Landry watched from SGC's observation deck as Infinity maintained orbit, its massive bulk a testament to human engineering across universes. Beside him, Captain Lasky coordinated with engineering teams, already implementing Carter's FTL integration theories. On the gate room floor, SG-1 prepared for their next mission with the easy camaraderie of those who'd faced death together and survived. And Master Chief stood in Infinity's armory, methodically preparing equipment for whatever came next, because Spartans didn't stop. They adapted, overcame, and completed the mission. Always. The Stargate activated in the background, chevrons locking, wormhole establishing. Another team departing for another world. Another mission beginning in the endless cycle of exploration and defense that defined Earth's presence among the stars. 2 Earths. 1 mission. Defend humanity, honor the fallen, and never surrender to those who chain freedom in divine pretense or technological tyranny. Indeed. More stories awaited beyond the event horizon. More battles to fight, more allies to discover, more impossible odds to overcome through cooperation and determination. The UNSC Infinity had found its place in this galaxy, not as conquerors or desperate refugees, but as defenders standing shoulder to shoulder with those who understood what mattered, protecting the right to choose, preserving human dignity, and ensuring that tomorrow's generation inherited a galaxy worth living in. Chief's reflection appeared in his polished visor. The face of a soldier who'd fought across universes, who'd seen civilizations fall and rise, who carried the weight of billions saved and thousands lost. The mission continued. The gate remained open. And when it activated next, he'd be ready to step through. Because Spartans never die. They just fight the next battle, in whatever universe needs them most. Indeed. Hit that subscribe button for more interesting stories. Thank you for watching.